The most misquoted verse from the entire Torah, in my opinion at least, occurs in this week's portion. The verse is, "Let my people go." We all know that, right? Can't be wrong. Maybe it's because of Charlton Heston when we think of Moses approaching Pharaoh asking to be released, right? "Let my people go." Or maybe the problem is because of that old spiritual we sing often on Passover, "Let my people go." The problem is, nowhere in the entire Torah does it ever just say, "Let my people go." Every time, and there are quite a few times when Moses utters this phrase, he says, "Let my people go so that they may worship God." Or, "Let my people go so that they may celebrate a festival to God in the wilderness." Every time there's something after it. It's never simply just, "Let my people go." Because there is a reason for their freedom, there is always a second half to the sentence. We did not achieve freedom for freedom's sake alone. We were redeemed to be God's people, God's partners, to worship, to celebrate, and in the words of the prophet Isaiah, to be a light unto the nations, a moral force for good in this world. This year, we are celebrating 75 years since the creation of the modern state of Israel. Our people did not achieve the unthinkable, the miraculous return to our homeland after almost 2,000 years of exile for its sake alone. Just as with the Exodus, we were redeemed 75 years ago to be God's people, God's partners, to worship, to celebrate, and to be a light unto the nations. Israel was created to be a Jewish state, not just a state of Jews. Israel was founded on Jewish values. To quote the Israeli Declaration of Independence, "The state of Israel will be open for Jewish immigration and for the ingathering of the exiles. It will foster the development of the country for the benefit of all its inhabitants. It will be based on freedom, justice, and peace, as envisioned by the prophets of Israel. It will ensure complete equality of social and political rights to all its inhabitants, irrespective of religion, race, or gender." End quote. Last weekend, 80,000 protesters gathered in Tel Aviv with grave concerns about the future of Israel's democracy. Like us, they too want to see Israel be a light unto the nations, a country that is defined by peace, justice, and equality, as said in the Declaration of Independence. However, we are now all witnessing a new hardline government that appears to contradict our Jewish values. And we are concerned that some of these policies may go against the founding of Israel. I recently spoke with my friend and colleague, Rabbi Tamir Nir, of our partner congregation in Jerusalem, Achva B'Kerem. He expressed real concern for the future of his congregation. There's a chance that they will lose their funding that they currently receive from the Israeli government, and that only congregations that fall into the narrow category as defined by the ultra-Orthodox will receive government funding. In addition, we are seeing threats to the rights of women, LGBTQ citizens, and Arab Israeli citizens. We are concerned about the erosion of democracy as the government seeks to weaken the Supreme Court. And we also have concerns for the treatment of the Palestinian people and their aspirations for self-determination. Perhaps, though, the most frightening for us as Reform Jews in the diaspora is the proposal to change the law of return and canceling Reform conversions. The law of return is the law which allows any Jew, child of a Jew, or grandchild of a Jew, the same categories that Hitler used. It allows any of these people to make Aliyah to Israel. Reform conversions have been recognized in Israel for the purposes of the law of return for many years. So the decision to cancel these conversions is actually canceling the law of return for many and surrendering to the extremist ultra-Orthodox views regarding the question of who is a Jew. The meaning is that the state of Israel will cease to be the state for all Jewish people. Canceling the recognition of Reformed conversion will also lead, I fear, to an irreversible rift with the diaspora Jewry. It will also cause irreversible damage to the LGBTQ community in Israel, since almost all surrogate children in Israel are Reform converts. Rabbi Josh Weinberg, the head of our Reform Movement Zionist Association, ARTSA, recently wrote about how Israel has a positive mission to fulfill beyond the value of its own survival. He writes, "As a Jewish people, we have been forced to justify our Zionism since its inception. Why do Jews need a state? We were challenged. How do we justify our existence and right to self-determination? For so long, we were so focused on justifying our Zionism that we paid insufficient attention to whether or not our Zionism was just." End quote. What Weinberg says we need now is a just Zionism. Weinberg explains that this just Zionism is committed to the following principles: security in the region, religious equality and pluralism, combating racism, discrimination, and hatred, and, God willing, 2 states for 2 people. This may seem impossible. It may look right now that the irretractable forces of extremists on all sides have won and that there's little hope. Yet, the Israeli national anthem, Hatikva, the hope, reminds us that that 2,000-year-old hope will not be lost. So what do we do? Throw up our arms in disgust and leave the table? Boycott Israel, refuse to travel there? No. I would encourage us to do the exact opposite. We must engage. I refuse to give up on a country that I love and that I believe in. I refuse to give up on a country that is just as much my heritage and my birthright as any other Jew. I refuse to give up on a country that saved my wife's family from the Holocaust. A country that has the ability to be a shining star of democracy and peace in the Middle East. I refuse to give up on Israel. I have hope. I find that hope through supporting organizations that are doing the work in Israel that align with our values. Organizations like the Israeli Movement for Progressive Judaism and our partner congregation, Achva B'Kerem. Organizations like the Jaffa Institute that foster dialogue between Arab and Israeli youth in South Tel Aviv. Or Women of the Wall, which works for gender equality at the Western Wall, the holiest site for all Jews. And we as a congregation are not disengaging. With the leadership of our Israel Connectors group, we have been engaging with Israel more than ever. So here's what we have coming up. I hope one of these opportunities to engage in Israel will speak to you. On Sunday, February 5th, we will be screening a film about the Ayalon Institute, a secret ammunition factory disguised as a kibbutz to fool the British in the 1940s. The producer will be here to speak about her film, and I'm so excited for this. We are going to Israel. In fact, we are hoping to take 2 trips to Israel in this next year. We're sending our teens over winter break, and if you are a teen, I see some here, or know one, please reach out to Jennifer James for more information on this trip. And we are taking a congregational trip to Israel. After the success of our Morocco trip, we are so excited to be traveling again. We are having an interest meeting February 7th to learn more about this trip, and feel free to reach out to our own Jordan Marks for more information. We also, as I mentioned, have our partner congregation in Israel, Achva B'Kerem. We are going to be spending Passover with them virtually. And on the Shabbat morning of Passover, we're going to do a really special session where we study together, share Passover recipes and traditions, and we can't wait to grow closer to our Israeli family. We are excited that our own Rick Berkman will be teaching a class with information to come soon from the Hartman Institute called I Engage, as we'll learn more about the history of Israel and current politics. And lastly, although there's even more after this, our book club readers. I will be leading a discussion on March 1st on Noah Tishby's new book, Israel, a simple guide to the most misunderstood country on earth. It's really a wonderful book, and I hope you have a chance to read it and join us for the discussion. In her book, Noah Tishby writes, Zionism is a verb, something that is still in action. It is, after all, a movement, and as such, always on the go. Much like the Jewish tradition that answers a question with a question and encourages humans, regardless of religion, to debate each other and philosophize from dusk till dawn, Zionism is still here to learn, to debate with itself, and to transform. Israel, like much of our world, is at a crossroads. The modern state of Israel, the 2,000-year-old dream, is still a young nation, only 75 years old. I believe in Israel. And I believe Israel can be a Jewish state, not just a state of Jews, a nation that lives by our Jewish values of democracy, protecting the most vulnerable among us, and treating everyone as created in the divine image. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may this be God's will, and may we partner with God in helping to bring it about. Shabbat Shalom.